Hello, welcome back to another episode of Riv Academy. Yes, I know it's been a minute. I was on vacation, enjoying my life. I'm an adult. I have a life. I am here with Miss Paige Otto, if that's how you say it.
Yes, you
Yes,
got
from
it.
No Ceilings. Thank you for being here. First of all, I got a question for you. I've been knowing you guys for I want to say like 2 years.
Hmm.
I think I want to say 2 years.
Yeah,
How did that start? Like, what made? First of all, when did you join?
yeah.
And then how did that start? Because I feel like you were the last one that I noticed, or if you weren't the last, I think you were like the second to last. But I'll let you tell me that
Yeah.
story.
So I joined in 2022. So I've been with No Ceilings for 4 years, and I just found them randomly through like the 2022 draft with like Paulo, Jabari Smith. Like, just wanted to like get caught up with everything. And then I was like 1 year out of college,
Mm,
and just like wanting to do like anything like freelance wise, like in addition to my full-time job. And I was like, hey, like, do you guys need help with like social, like content creation? Because at the time, I think we only had like a YouTube, like they just started a YouTube account, then like a Twitter account. I was like, oh, like we can do like all the big ones, like Instagram, TikTok, like whatever. So then I kind of joined in that 22 year, but they were already started in 2021. So it's been 5 years, 4 years with me, and then now I'm co-owner with Rucker, Corey, Albert, all the guys, right? So, and then we're all gonna see each other at Summer League because I haven't seen them in like 3 years because all of us are all over the place. I'm sure, like with you guys that pick a side too, but yeah, and then it's grown into what it is now, which has been crazy. Year after year, we've just seen tremendous growth, especially with our draft guide. But yeah, I mean, all of us have full-time jobs and we're trying to,
mm.
build this. So yeah, I'm sure, how it is to like build something, but yeah, it's been a heck of a ride so far.
Yeah, no. We have the pleasure of we all went to school together since
Yeah.
we were in
Okay.
like me and Joel. We went to school together since elementary school.
Okay.
Me and Drew since middle school, and then all of us in high school. So we've known each other pretty much our whole lives. But you said you guys haven't seen each other in 3 years, so you guys are childhood friends.
No, so I didn't know any of them.
Oh, okay, okay,
I just
okay.
like reached out, like cold call, like DM kind of sense
Right,
on
right.
Instagram and kind of started from there. But yeah.
Okay, okay. So you guys started in 2022, and you're a year out of college. How old are you?
A year out of college in 2022. I
Oh,
graduated from Michigan State in 2021. Yeah.
fire. Okay, all right. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Michigan State. Do you have a Michigan State story? Like anything good?
Yeah, so my sophomore year, that would be 2019, not to put
Hmm.
like an age on myself, but yeah, my sophomore year is when we beat Duke to go to the
Yes.
final, yeah, Elite Eight. So Kenny Goins hit that dagger to send Zion home, RJ Barrett, and I lived in, like, if you guys are familiar with Michigan State or have ever been there, about like Cedar Village is kind of where like we burn couches and everyone kind of gathers after like a huge win. And I was living there at the time, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. But that was a really good memory for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I used to watch Michigan State when they were fun to watch. Now they're like
Oh, now they're
whatever.
not.
Now they're like whatever. But okay, okay. So that's dope. So 2022, you graduate Michigan State. I'm assuming your freshman year was like 2018. You're probably like around the same age as
I'm
me.
26. Yeah.
Oh, you're younger than me. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
all right. So there we go. We're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, Michigan State. Now you're with No Ceilings. You guys have built a pretty cool ass community. You have
Yeah.
great content. I kind of look to you guys for NBA draft stuff, especially when I do a lot throughout the year. And
For
like you mentioned,
sure.
we all have full-time jobs, so I do a ton of stuff. So I don't always get to catch up, and that's why I look to you guys coming into the draft.
Yeah.
Who were your like? I know we do this thing on our show. We're like me guys. Like this is our
Yeah.
guy. We're locking in with them. We're a fan. Do you have any me guys in this draft?
Yeah, so two of my guys were Braden Burries out of
Mm,
Arizona and Cameron Carr out of Baylor, right? Because I think at his time through Tennessee, he wasn't really getting a lot of minutes through Rick Barnes and, kind of that play style and how you have to really, get on his good side in a way to get playing time. And, I don't think Cameron Carr really showcased what he could do. And, Baylor had a pretty rough year, right? With like Tunde Yusufu, like him and Cameron Carr were like the only two focal points of their team. And Yeah, he really showed out. I mean, he was one of my prime guys for the Pistons to draft. And I think during draft night too, a lot of people were like, how the hell is this guy falling? Right. And he falls to the Lakers and you're just like, oh my God, like it makes sense in a way. And then Braden Burries, yeah, he's been like a top 10 guy for me the whole year. 6'4" guard out of Arizona. Arizona was loaded with first round guys. I think two of their guys in their front court, Ivan Karchekov and then Mo Krivas, are definitely two other guys to watch in the 2027 draft class. And obviously Koa Pete, right? But yeah, Braden Burries is just like an NBA playoff guard. You know, he's physical. He likes to get downhill, gets to his spots, really great at drawing fouls. And I was just like, you know, physicality is the name of the game now. And especially I think year after year in the playoffs, like you see the players that, you know, aren't really used to that, right? And I think Braden Burries kind of fits that mold of just he can come in and kind of ready to go. I think some other players in the class, like his counterpart, Nate Amen, is going to have some, you know, not issues, but kind of just some learning curves in terms of physicality for sure. But those two guys have definitely been like my two guys this draft class.
I'm with you. Piggybacking on BB, that's what I call him, my boy BB. He's so nice, man. And I liked Ryan Rollins last year, so I think the backcourt is going to be super cool, super physical. And you mentioned it, like the playoffs now, you need those physical type guards. You know, we've seen guys like Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle be that type of physical like guards, big guards, and Braden does fit that. Out of that, you know, because this has been a conversation all year. Probably even before that, DP versus AJ versus Boozer. How did you like just feel like that top three should have shooken out? Did you think this was the way it was going to go? Where would you like? What's your overall take on it?
Yeah, I think like even throwing Caleb Wilson in that conversation too. I think the top four were pretty, you know, cookie cutter. For maybe, you know, obviously those three, right? DP, AJ, and Boozer, they're the top three for the whole year, right? And then Caleb Wilson started to like, climb. But I definitely think like the top four, you can't really go wrong with any four of them. I think Cam Boozer is obviously your safest floor in terms of, you know, what he can provide, but he's just a damn good basketball player, can do everything on the court. And I think the Grizzlies got a great get in him. And I think him also with Beef Stew as well. I think they're kind of getting back into that grit and grind culture back with, you know, Zach Randolph and kind of, you know, trying to rebuild also with them obviously losing John Morant too. I think they're, you know, kind of in the ups too of, you know, they're going to be a super fun team to watch in my opinion. But I think DP, I think a lot of, you know, the rumors and everything about him with Kansas, but I mean, he like hasn't even scratched the surface, I think, of what people think like he can do. I mean, we've seen already in summer league, like this guy can just flat out get to any spot on the court, and like how he's able to navigate, and even in short minutes too. Like he didn't play a lot of minutes at Kansas, but when he did, you know, he's the best player on the floor, you know, 9 times out of 10. And then AJ, obviously, like he has probably, you know, I think him and DP have the highest ceilings, right? But like AJ, like he's just a 6'9", like, you know, so super athletic, three-way scorer, can just basically get anywhere. And I think him with BYU, like obviously when Richie Saunders got down with the ACL injury, a lot was on AJ's back that he had to, you know, carry. But AJ can also improve, you know, as a playmaker too. I think his playmaking is also super underrated. And then you add in that he's 6'9" and can space the floor well. And then I think the Wizards, with what they're building with Trey especially, and they have a young core of, you know, Keyshawn George looked like he gained like 20 pounds of muscle too. Like he's been in the gym. I think he's going to be, you know, a nice guy to watch this year too. So I think the Wizards, and I think we're getting like this new era too, right? Of like the people that we grew up watching are, you know, not in their prime anymore. And then all these new faces, and this was a generational draft class too. So I think this is kind of like the next step of like stars in a way that people are going to be more familiar with.
Yeah, I saw some reports that they might try Keyshawn at the 1, you know, when Trae Young is sitting. So I'm thinking of a jumbo lineup: Keyshawn, AJ, Bilal, AD, Sar. That's pretty big.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but listen, the big three. First of all, you know, just talking about DP for a little bit and his, you know, 2 games that he played, and talking about him in Kansas. I think the worry with him was just how long can he stay on the floor? And I think his game was never really questioned. I know some, like anybody who's watched for a long time, like I've been watching DP since his senior year. And and I think if you just watch them on the floor, like you mentioned, 9 times out of 10, he's more than likely the best player on the floor. And you saw that in his matchup against Memphis and Cam Boozer. He was the best player on the floor pretty easily. That's with a top 3 pick playing on the other side. It's just the way he can get to the rim, the way he can get his shot off, the way he can get to his spots. He's just so smooth. And he has that combination of just touch and get into his spot. It's not many guys at that age, that young, has that type of combination this early. Like we've seen best in the game, SGA have that touch, that that space and that pace. DP looks, and obviously it's just summer league, but summer league overreactions, I'm gonna be there for it. But it does look like DP just have it. Now AJ hasn't played yet.
Yeah.
But is there anybody in summer league that you've seen so far? I know we've seen Acuff play. That's also my dog. We've seen Kingston Fleming play a little bit. So anybody else that's really caught your scene? I know last night in the Utah game, Blake Heinsohn is really he was throwing me off too. I'm like, his jumper is pretty smooth. Like he can really shoot that ball.
Yeah, I mean, summer league overreactions is kind of like my favorite part of the summer too, because like you're not trying to be like biased to it, but there's also not a lot of other things going on. Like obviously the World Cup, right? But that's only every 4 years, so like. I know. Let's not talk about yesterday, right? We'll get depressed on the pod, but yeah, and like also like going to summer league again, first time in 3 years, like. Super excited. Like I land on Thursday and like the biggest game, Utah and the Wizards get to see AJ and DP square off. Yeah, it might be sold out too. Like I think it's gonna be like the busiest it's ever been, but that's definitely like the
I remember when we first went to watch Wemby, right? It was that day. It was that day one when I think Amen played Scoot and B Miller played Wemby. So it was that day. I swear to God on everything I love. The line stretched around the building 3 times. So, but it was moving, but it was like, damn, you get in there. And it was so, and I mean, like the Wemby and B Miller game was really cool, but the Scoot and Amen game was so electric. That was, I think, Jabari hit the game winner for like damn near half court. Yeah. That game was so electric because you didn't just have Amen and Scoot, you had Jabari. Shaden Sharp also played in the game. Like it was just so Tari Eason played. It was just so much hype to the game. And now you're kind of getting that 3 years later where you're like, I'm gonna be there for AJ, DP. Like that's and I think DP said it yesterday in his post game, and he was just like, I know I'm playing AJ up coming next. It's gonna be a big one. So I know DP's wait, because every time he sees AJ, it feels like I gotta kill him. No matter what, I gotta kill him.
Yeah, DP's kind of like a silent killer to me. Like he's pretty nonchalant, kind of keeps to himself. Like in his post-game pressers with Kansas, he's kind of like, hey, like I'm kind of like an introvert, kind of keep to myself. Like I have my dog Instagram. Like I don't really do that much, like, off the court, right? But yeah, I mean, he takes stuff personally, which like I think Wemby like too in the playoffs when he didn't win MVP and they, gave SGA the trophy in front of him. Like he took that personally, right? And I think we need more of that. And I think like in this younger generation of guys that, think they should have been number one, especially, like I like to see that. Like that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it, competitive and like not taking it under the rug. Like I don't want to see that. Like I don't think anyone else wants to see that. Like I want to see these players like just go at each other. And I think that's what we're going to see on Thursday for sure. But yeah, going back to, your first question, Ryan Conwell out of the Miami Heat, he's a bucket getter. I mean, from Louisville, really stepped up when Mikal Brown was out with injury this year. Senior guard. Yeah, he's a little short. He's 6'2", but he's stocky, has a great foundation, can get a bucket anywhere on the court, 40% from 3. He really fits into that Heat culture. And I think, with the Heat kind of, moving around, especially with the Giannis trade, getting rid of, Tyler Hero, Jaime Jaquez Jr., right? I think Ryan Conwell can really, work well with Norman Powell too, because he kind of is kind of like a Norman Powell type of player that can just get a bucket whenever you need. He's, kind of has that clutch gene to his game. Also great at getting downhill and drawing fouls too. So yeah, he's been super impressive to watch as well.
Yeah, they're gonna need that. Jaime is gone, Tyler's gone, Khalil Ware is gone. Norman, I think he went to Chicago, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, there's been so many trades.
They got two. I think he got 245. Listen, go get your bread. Yeah. So they're gonna need something in the backcourt. I know Davion Mitchell's still there. And he's a hooper for sure. But I liked what I seen, and I've been watching a little bit. Obviously you get the big names, but Yaxel looked really good.
Yeah.
Obviously, the age tag is going to hit him for sure, but I thought Yaxel looked really good. What's your? How do I want to ask this question? What's your? Okay, so let's say this is a fence, right? We have a fence right here. On this side of the fence, we have Darius Acuff Jr. On this side of the fence, we have Kingston Fleming. I put you right here at the middle of the fence. Which way do you lean?
Yeah, it's difficult. Like I think first and foremost, like this guard class was like absolutely loaded.
Crazy.
I forget like the stat that I saw, but I mean we had like 8 guards, freshmen go in the top 10 or whatever it was, which has like never been.
I think it was Abuka, MBJ, Acuff, Keaton,
Flemings, Burries.
Burries. Like it was a ton. And then Phylon is only a sophomore.
And he fell, and you're like, how the hell is like in any other class he would not foul, in the mid 26, into the 76ers, and him and Jaylen Brown, like, we'll probably talk about that later. But yeah, I think it's hard. Like I love both of them. I think Darius Acuff a little bit more, and I know he kind of struggled in his first game, right? He was like 9 of 29 from the field, but
he emptied that clip though.
Like
the clip for sure.
Yeah, like how he just can get to his spots. He has great feel and touch, like especially in the pick and roll too. Like in his second game, he was able to kind of slow down his game. He's like, okay, like this window's not as big as it was in college for me, but he's kind of like, I have to be more patient, especially with the ball in his hands. Like he was facilitating more, being more patient on dribble handoffs. Like I think like the Kings should be so excited about Darius Acuff and his future, and kind of just a guy that like, they can finally rally around again, because with De'Aaron Fox, leaving to the Spurs, and Kingston Fleming. I think the Hawks had one of the best draft hauls in this class with Zuby Ejiofor and Henry Visar as well. And Kingston Fleming's like he can just take off like from anywhere, like driving downhill. Like he might be small, but like he's a 3-level scorer. He had 9 assists in his last game as well, 14 points, I believe. Like he's going to be a huge core piece. Like pair him with Stacey McCollum as well. He gets to play with Jalen Johnson, who, I think his stock is just going to continue to rise. Like the Hawks are in pretty good shape, I think, as well.
Yeah, I like the Hawks' direction. I do think like CJ staying there after how he played towards the back end of last year, kind of propelling them to the playoffs in a little bit of a sneaky way. And then you mentioned Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels. I think he's a good passer. Just has to figure out that scoring. But Fleming's getting there was awesome. And then you mentioned that Acuff Jr. just going to Sacramento just seems like a beam of hope. Like they just need somebody with some swag. Now I have another fence for you. It's an interesting fence. So the fence is back up, and we have Keaton Wagler on this side, and Mikal Brown Jr. on this side. Where do you fold? Which side do you pick on that one?
Yeah. So backing up a little bit, like when we were going through our last mock draft at No Ceilings, I was kind of like, yes, like the clean sweep was, Wagler fits perfectly with the Clippers, like Kawhi might be gone. Kind of makes a lot of sense of like what the direction to go with, especially with Darius Garland already on the roster. But I was like, oh, Braden Burris could kind of, work there too, because the Clippers did like him in his workout with them. And Mikal Brown Jr., like everyone was like, oh, the Nets are going to take another guard. Like, what are they doing? But Mikal Brown is special. I mean, last game he had 10 points, 4 assists, and he also has a really long wingspan as well. And I think he just has that shiftiness, swag to him, like you were saying, similar to Darius Acuff. Like him at 6 to the Nets made a lot of sense to me. And they also picked up one of my other favorite players in this class, Joshua Jefferson, out of Iowa State. That is just a very well-rounded basketball player, like 6'8", can thread the needle in every which way possible. Has to work on his shot a little bit, but he's shown improvements like year after year. But I think he's just like a steady piece to work off with for the Nets. But yeah, I think I would go Mikal Brown Jr., honestly. Like I think like Nick and I were talking about on our podcast of No Ceilings Deep Dives, like we talked about Keaton Wagler in December. We're like, this guy like has the juice. Like he was super heavily under recruited coming to the season. Like Illinois and like 2 other schools were like his only like P4 offers, right? Like he's on the skinnier side, 6'6", like 175 pounds, but he has such a methodical game to him. He's not like the best athlete. He had like 0 dunks on the season, right? But he's kind of like your type of athlete that, he knows his game. He knows how to get to where he wants to go on the court. Very patient in the pick and roll. Also has, great range beyond the arc, parking lot range, and can kind of just like kill you when you least expect it, right? Just because he's not like flashy like the other guards like Kingsley Flemings, Darius Acuff, Mikal Brown Jr. But yeah, I would probably lean Mikal Brown.
Okay. Listen, I love Mikal. I think he's going to be super special. My thing with Keaton is just I need him to get more counters. I think after that first bump, he's kind of thrown off a little bit because of the frame. I would love to him just to work on those counters. Like you mentioned, these other guards, they have a ton of moves to their arsenal. I think with Keaton, you're just going to need a little bit of that. But I always felt like him to the Clippers was probably outside of the top four, the easiest, seamless fit, because you got DG there, and he's one of the premier, passing point guards in the league. Now, I noticed you have a Devin Booker jersey in the background. Explain that to me.
Yeah, so Devin Booker's a Michigan native. Like, he grew up in Grand Rapids.
Allegedly.
And then he, obviously played high school basketball in Mississippi. But yeah, I was like a huge fan of him, like at Kentucky. Just really liked his game growing up. Like when I was in high school, like their run with like him and Kat and like the Harrison twins in like 2015 was like really when I like started to lock in. Like I played basketball all my life, but that team like really like, sparked my interest of like being into college basketball more and like, doing what I do now. But yeah, he's like one of my favorite players in the league as well. So, and like in the Suns too.
Okay. So couple questions. I like where this is going. So what is this Devin Booker Michigan stuff just started popping up like 3 years ago? What's that about? Like, I feel like this is a weird conspiracy where all of a sudden he's from Michigan. I've never heard of it until like 3-4 years ago. Are you sure he's from Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Grand Rapids. Like the Tigers had him to throw out the first pitch last year, earlier this year. Like he's always like when he comes to playing Detroit, he's always wearing like a Tigers hat or anything. Like him and Izzo were super close. Like he could have went to Michigan State. He gave the Michigan State team, when his first shoe, the book one like release, gave them all like PEs. D-book PEs. Like he's super locked in to Michigan still. But yeah, you kind of like if you don't like know that if you're not from Michigan, it's kind of like, oh wait, he's from there in a type of way. But yeah,
he hides it really well.
Yeah.
I guess not. I guess I didn't notice he wears the hats and stuff like that. Like it really just started popping up recently where I'm like, oh, I didn't know he was from Michigan, but all right, cool, he's from Michigan. Here comes a connection to Detroit. All right, maybe he'll come play here. I'm feeling that too for sure.
We can't afford him, sadly.
Dude, I don't listen. We'll talk about that in a minute. So wait, why are you a Michigan State fan and not Michigan?
Well, I went to Michigan State.
So you wasn't a fan of anything before that?
So growing up, like some of my family like went to Michigan State. And like I just like never really liked Michigan. Like my dad liked Michigan, but he went to Central Michigan. Like I feel like a lot of Michigan fans like love Michigan, but they didn't go to school there. But State, like most people that like Michigan State, like either have like a family member that went there or like went there like themselves. And like I've always wanted to go to school there, so it was kind of like an easy so then I just like grew up watching them.
We don't really have Rutgers. We don't really
I mean
I couldn't. I'm a Syracuse fan, so like I couldn't. Not even, it wasn't even mellow. It was like it was like MCW and stuff. Like that was really what got me there. MCW, Tyler Ennis, CJ Fair, like Dejuan Coleman, all that. Like we suck now, but we had some runs back in the day.
And you guys had Donnie Freeman, but
oh my god,
and he just snapped his Achilles. Unfortunately,
we had Kion, and I thought, all right, we're back, and then we're not back. Like the first 5 games, I'm like, wait, we look good, like, and then we just died, man. It was like, what the hell? And I was like, oh my god, like what's going on? But she's not transferring, so hopefully, hopefully we figure that out. But I'm glad you're from Michigan. Finally, we get somebody from Michigan because the Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Pistons. I've been a fan since Sadiq Bey.
Okay.
If you didn't know, there's this gimmick out about me that I have 32 teams.
I love that.
Yeah, I used to do that. I cut that. All right, so I had a lot of I watch a lot of high school ball. I watch a lot of college ball. So a lot of times guys come in and I'm like, yo, one of my favorite teams. So Detroit They got Sadiq Bey. I'm like, all right, I like Sadiq. Tune in. Then they start getting Cade, Asar, Duran, Jaden Ivey. I'm like, dude, what am I like? But then also Houston started getting some of my guys. Portland started getting some of my guys. I'm like,
I'm spread too thin. I'm spread too thin. I got to pick.
I'm really Cleveland got all my guys. I'm really all over the world with this. So last season, I think it was last off season. I'm like, yo, I got to make a decision, man. This is getting tiring. Like I can't be up all night watching all these games. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick one team. Then we had a show. We were doing Eastern Conference predictions. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Detroit 1 seed. I said, I'm going to take whatever the nasty odds are. And I think Detroit was like plus 800 to be first seed. So I'm like, yo, Detroit's going to be the first seed this year. I'm excited. Didn't really believe in it a ton. I thought they were going to be a playoff team, but first seed, a little wild. First seed, I'm like, January, I'm cutting everybody off. I'm Detroit. I'm here. Like, this is what we're going to do. We're going to lock this shit in.
Yeah.
As soon as I become a Detroit fan, Cade collapsed lung. Now we're going 7 games with Orlando, and we lose a heartbreaker in embarrassing fashion to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
Paige, you being from the city, you being from the area, just talk to me about just the overall thoughts of last year. How did you feel about it? You know, what type of success you felt like you got? Where we now? We achieved, and just, you know, the overall grade of just last season, and then we'll walk into the off season.
Yeah. Like me, like I live like 20 minutes from Detroit. So I go to, you know, as much Pistons games as I, you know, can go to. Like I went to game 4 against the Magic when like it was a battle of, you know, Paolo and Cade, both 40 points, like just going at each other. Yes. Like it was incredible. But then I was also at game 7 where heartbreak to the Cavs, and it was like the worst game I've ever seen in my life. So like I've been at highs and lows. That's kind of how, you know, being a Detroit fan is.
How was the vibe walking into game 7? Like, how was the vibe walking into that game 7?
So last year too, I went to a playoff game against the Knicks when I think it was game 4 or 5 when even it was like the call on Josh Hart, and then Cat hit like the dagger 3, and then obviously Brunson was Jalen Brunson, or 6.
Yeah, because it was at home, right?
Yeah, and then and then we lost to that call, and it just sucked the life out of everyone. And then this year, you know, 3rd time in franchise history, we had a 60+ win season, first in the East after, you know, 2 years before the worst team in the league at 14 wins, like had like the worst losing streak in the world. And then, you know, going into this year in the playoffs, like, and like being a Detroit fan too, like we kind of like love to expect the best, but like I don't think we're like so confident it's like actually gonna like happen for like around here, especially with like the Lions, Red Wings, Tigers. Like we're kind of like, how are we in this position? It's kind of like then it's just heartbreak. Like they give us hope and then they just like break our heart in a way. And like that's how it, you know, coming into game 7 with the Cavs, it's like we were down, you know, we were 2-0, then we lost 3 straight, and then it's kind of like, okay, like we're getting it back. Like Duran is kind of doing like a little bit better, but like obviously he was a super low point for us in the playoffs when we needed him the most. Like Paul Reed, I love B-ball Paul. Like he definitely should have gotten a lot more minutes than I think JB was giving him. But yeah, game 7, like the only, you know, best points of the game were the first 2 minutes of the game when Dennis Jenkins hit like 2 mid-range shots, and then it was just silent the rest of the game. And we just had to like watch in misery. Like people, you know, were stacking up like their drinks. Like they're like, I'm just gonna, you know, drink the pain away. So yeah. So then everyone, you know, people were trying to like fight each other like in the stands. Like, you know, it was terrible. It was awful. And it kind of like reminded me of like the Suns and Mavericks in game 7 when it was like 40 point, like, and yeah. So it was kind of like that, like for Suns fans, like I'm sure we can relate, but yeah, it was awful. Like don't even go to game 7 if that's, you know, what you're going to do on your home floor, especially like when you're the number 1 team in the East. And like, I couldn't believe like we got past the Orlando Magic, and like obviously Franz Wagner was out for the last 2 games. But we did, but then it was kind of just like, damn, but I don't know. We won like our first playoff series, you know, in like 16 years or so. Like that was definitely a high point, you know, being the Magic, kind of going back to, you know, the 06 series when it was like the same like wins and losses going up to game 7. But yeah, like hopefully, like, I mean, this off season I think has answered some questions, but not as much, I think, as a lot of other Pistons fans would have liked, you know, Trajan to do. But I kind of get it, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, there's two parts of it where I feel like we can be happy about what happened last year. We can be excited
Yeah.
about winning 60 games and Cade getting all NBA first team, well deserved. Asar being the best non-Wemby defender in basketball. Dern being an all-star, like Jenkins getting his deal. Like we can be excited about that stuff. Like it's
Yeah.
okay. Like we're not every team is built to win the championship. We can also be honest about what the hell happened in the playoffs. And I was pissed. I mean, like down 3-1 to Orlando. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is like, wow. What like if we lose here, I don't know what I'm gonna do to myself. Drink the pain away. There's gonna be something else has to happen. Then we come, Franz got hurt. And I'm like, damn it. Like, cause I know what they're gonna say. Franz got hurt, but like losing 3 straight, I still feel like it's regardless, whoever gets hurt, unless because we saw Denver and Minnesota. Minnesota lost all their players, and Denver still was getting their ass whipped, you know? So I feel like sometimes, you know, the momentum can shift or it can stay with the team regardless of who gets hurt. But yeah, I just last year it really gave you like some hope that all right, like you know, we had a good season, but like damn, this is what it feels like to be good and like not be successful at the end of the year, you know?
Yeah, I think you can obviously kind of as like a huge win in so many ways, but also like the last game of the season obviously has a bad taste in your mouth. That like I think that's how a lot of people also feel with Jalen Duren. Like he didn't really leave like a great impression, you know, at the end, like coming up on his, you know, possible max deal, right? It's kind of like, but then you're also forgetting like all the bad, right? Like he was 19-10, like all NBA, like, you know, all those things. And kind of him and Cade like starting to work together again. Like, yes, Cade had a ton of turnover issues in the playoffs. Like at one point he was like leading the whole playoffs with turnovers, and that was a huge like hole for us. Like we need another guy to pair with him in terms of, you know, just handling the ball and, you know, being consistent production for us. Like Asar is, you know, 99.9 percentile defensive athlete and, you know, player. Just the shot just needs to come around. Like that's the same for Ron Holland too, because like we have him and Ron Holland that, you know, there are young guys, but they kind of just come in and do the dirty work. And Ron Holland has shown, like, you know, when he did get some minutes in the playoffs, like, you know, he's gonna go for every loose ball, right? He's gonna, you know, track everyone like in his rotations, like he's always there. But like you're not gonna trust him to, you know, take a wide open 3-point shot, right? And like everyone knew that, right? Because they're gonna clog the paint. And like if Kevin Herter's not on, like he didn't really play, right? And then Duncan Robinson did what he needed to do, but he was like our only other floor spacer. So, I mean, yeah, getting Isaiah Joe was, you know, a huge get for us as well.
Yeah, like I love Duncan. Duncan was hooping. Like he hit some threes, and Ron Holland's interesting because I felt like, you know, that pick was always weird because that draft wasn't the strongest. And Ron Holland's offensive woes kind of mirrored what Asar Thompson's offensive woes is, and can't have two of them. You know, you mentioned 99th percentile, brother. He's like 100. This dude, I ain't never seen no shit like this in my life. I mean, this guy is just a freak. But we picked up Isaiah Joe. We re-signed Kevin Herter. Picked up Ibuka Okori. Is that how you say it? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we picked up Ibuka. So now, like, do you think Trajan is in the right direction? Because I feel like Duren obviously still has to get paid. I know me and you had a conversation. We thought he was going to get paid on Monday. Yeah. It's Tuesday. It's like I haven't heard anything. But Walker Kessler did go to the Lakers, so that gives you a little bit of faith where it's like, all right, it's not a lot of teams with money. So do you think let's just hypothetically assume Duren comes back, God willing. Let's just say Duren comes back. Do you think this team is enough? Because I feel like we saw Toronto go get Kawhi. And I did see reports that we called about Kawhi, but he only wanted to go to Toronto. Mm-hmm. Fair. We saw LaMelo go to Minnesota. Cool. Giannis heads over to Miami, though. You know, Jaylen Brown goes to Philly. So now the East is stacking up a bit. You know, you got Indiana coming back. We don't know how they're going to shake up, obviously, but you got them coming back. Do you think Trey has done enough, or like what other moves are you looking for this offseason?
Yeah, I think, you know, he's kind of playing like the slow, patient game. And I think like him getting John Collins as well on a pretty good deal as well. I mean, only the first year is guaranteed. And John Collins, he's improved year after year, had a really great year for the Clippers this past year. But yeah, I think he like brings kind of what we need. He averaged like 16 points per game. So he brings that consistent production wise. And he's also a good Lob threat as well, can run the floor. Great defender, like weak side rim protector. Definitely, obviously not a 5, but you pair him with Duren. Like I think that's a decent front court to work off of. But I think a lot of people were kind of like, okay, are they going to go after Jaylen Brown? Are they going to go? I never thought Kawhi was going to come even close to Detroit. Like, I just think those, that people were saying that were just like kind of like hoping for the best of getting like a star caliber. Like, I know PJ Washington was, another guy in the loops. Like, I would love for him to be in Detroit because I think he kind of, it's perfect fit, right? And we're also like, we need another power forward because I think, it would like I would be so set if Beef Stew was still on the roster, right? But essentially, like we traded up for Abuka Okori because we got rid of salary dumping Stew's contract to the Grizzlies, and we gave up 3 second-round picks. But we have a ton of draft capital to work with. We own first-round picks until 2032, and the Pelicans kind of lowered their asking price on Trey Murphy to 3 first-round picks. But I've also seen that Trajan isn't reluctant. He's not like as wishy-washy to do that, but he is like listening more to that conversation because at first they wanted 4 first-round picks, and that was just like absolutely not. But I think 3 like we could work around, but with Isaiah Joe, like we kind of already got him for only 2 second-round picks, and he has a great contract as well, and he was the 10th best 3-point shooter in the league this year with the Thunder, and he also brings championship caliber to his game too. He brings that length and size on the perimeter. Pair him with Duncan Robinson and Kevin Huerter. Like those are our floor spacers right there. And I think Isaiah Joe will probably come off the bench to start. But yeah, we need more depth, especially at the 4 spot. I don't know if like we'll go after Trey Murphy, but I also know like no other team is gonna give. They can't pay Duren anymore. No other team can pay Duren. So it's just a matter of like, when is it going to be announced that, he's coming back? I think his contract's probably going to be in like the $30 million range ish. Like, I don't think he's going to get the $40 million that he was asking. I think that, we kind of gave him like, hey, we already gave you like this lucrative offer. Let's see like what you'll get, going. And then the Celtics were like, we're signing Mitch Robinson, like, dead in your face. And then the Lakers were like, we're getting Walker Kessler, like, which is crazy because like, Jalen Duren met with the Lakers front office too. Then they did that, right? And then they traded DeAndre Ayton to the Wizards. So, yeah, I think Jalen Duren is just like, okay, I tried to look elsewhere, but I'm coming back home to Detroit. And I think, a lot of the conversations were obviously from his playoff performance, but, we need him now because, a lot of the guys that we were looking to get and that were our targets, they're kind of off the board at this point.
How real do you think the Sacramento stuff is? Sabonis for Duren. Like how real? First of all, you will not see me anymore on Earth if that trade goes through. I promise you won't see me. I can no.
Yeah, so I'm I'm a pretty big Sabonis person. And yeah, just hear me out for a second, remember.
Let's walk through it. I'm listening.
Let's walk through it. So Sabonis, people are thinking he is like 33, 34. The dude's 29 years old. Like he was like 7th in MVP voting when Joel Embiid won MVP in the 2022-2023 season when, the Beam era was, alive and well, right? Him and De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter. And like he would also come back and play with his former teammate Kevin Huerter, and they have really good chemistry. Like how Sabonis plays, it's a lot of DHO actions, loves to be in the pick and roll, off the short roll. Like I love him as like a playmaking point center big man, right? And like he's also a double machine. I think he led the NBA like 3 times in rebounding. Like the dude's a monster, right? But and if you're looking at a signing trade, because that's kind of the only option we would need to do to pull that off, right? During for Sabonis, maybe we have to get a third team involved as well to do that. But he also has his injury battles, right? Like he just came off. He only played like a couple games this year, or maybe like 10 or 15, but then he had a surgery.
Tore his ACL.
Yeah, and then he's getting meniscus surgery too in February, or he got in February, and then so he's recovering from that. So then if you're looking at it like just like a blank slate, okay, 22-year-old Jalen Duren coming off of NBA all-star, like best season of his career, right? And he has so much more to give to the Pistons, right? And then you're just swapping him with Sabonis. People are gonna be like, why would we do that? But I think it does make sense in a way. Like I could see him and Cade working incredibly well with each other. I think he kind of brings more consistency in terms of, facilitating, and like if we didn't trade for another floor spacer and like Isaiah Joe, like he kind of brings more of that facilitating, not just clogging up the paint all the time. Like Sabonis doesn't shoot threes, right? But like he can also like move his way around, and like Duran's more like ferocious, like obviously on film and like when you watch him, right? Like he is great at, second possessions, but in the playoffs, he only got like 1 or 2 extra possessions, which is like, dude, that's like your game. Like what is going on? Like we need you to, hold down the 4 at the 5 spot. But Sabonis just kind of gives a all around different feel, right? They're 2 completely different center prospects that you can't really like compare them, from A to B, but they also like, I could see it, and I also saw like the Kings just waived DeMar DeRozan, right?
It's crazy.
Like, so he could be, possibly an option that we look for. I believe he is owed like $25 million in the 2026-2027 season. But I don't know, like DeMar, like he's a mid-range specialist, right? He's career like 30% from 3, but he's also a bucket too, but he's also like 35, 36. So I don't know. And then obviously there's rumors about KD. I don't think he's coming to Detroit. Like I think we're just like throwing, paint at the wall at this point. But I just think, Duran's ultimately going to come back to Detroit. But it would be like a fun scenario, if Sabonis, were to come here.
I think Sabonis's offensive value is impressive. Let me start there. All right. I think, the dribble handoffs, one of the best screeners in basketball, really good, elite rebounder, good roller. I think he would help. He would definitely help the shooters on our team. I think my only critique of it would be Duran is only 22 years old.
Yeah.
Like Sabonis has peaked as a player. He's peaked as a defender at the rim. I think Duran gives you a little bit more hope just because he's 7 years younger, a lot more physical. Like he's 22, built like a King Kong, like huge physical dude. I'm with you though. I do think ultimately he does come back. It's just like what is Trey hiding in the trunk? Like what is he holding in the vault? I get the patience. The patience has been good. It's been decent, but I still feel like Kobe White, what did he go for at the deadline? He went for like 3 seconds or maybe a first round pick. He didn't go for anything crazy.
Yeah, back to the Hornets too.
Yeah, that was something we could have grabbed up. Kobe White would have been great for us. A guy like PJ Washington, somebody we can nab up. They're probably asking for a first or a second. But what are we holding on to these picks for? I feel like was Ibaka the move? If they're telling me, if they're telling us as a fan base, this is the move, this is the guy, okay, then I can understand. I can't understand it because I feel like we're in win now mode. But I also love Ibaka, so I'm willing to be delusional. But you got to let me know if this is the move because this is, another guard. Good. He probably created like 80% of his shots last year by himself. Yeah. Like there wasn't anybody that really assisted him on anything. So this is a guy who creates everything off the bounce by himself. Him. So you can use that. That's a guy who can take pressure off Cade. But now also I look at it too from another situation. I would love to see Cade run more pin downs, come off DHOs, work more in the post, but we don't have another ball handler for that. But I would love Cade to play off ball because I do feel like he has that type of skill set, that type of game that can play off ball. It's just about what are we going to provide? How are we going to bring that in the building,
Yeah. Like when Dennis Jenkins, like, he has a pretty great story, coming from, two-way, then got that guaranteed deal. And, when Duran and Cade were out with injury, he really stepped up, hit like a couple of game winners for us. At times, I do think he's a little sporadic. Like he takes some shots that I don't think he should take all the time, but most of the time they go in, and you're kind of like, oh, okay. Like he definitely has that Detroit like dog culture. Like he's gonna run through you and do whatever he needs to do for his team to win. And I think he stepped up big time, especially in the playoffs. And you mentioned like when Cade's off ball, like we need more of that. And I think Dennis Jenkins was kind of our only other ball handler, right? But he's also young, he's working into, how to be another primary ball handler in the NBA. And he's not really that, like he's more like off ball, but in the sense that, when him and Cade play together, gives Cade more room to, operate in the post because Cade can take advantage of mismatches. Like he's a big guard. He can go to work in the post. He's been improving as a facilitator, especially in the post, kicking out to shooters. And Dennis Jenkins is, hits them in his spots as well. But when we don't have another ball handler, that's kind of hard for, Cade to get those opportunities off ball, because who else is kind of going to facilitate for him other than, Dennison himself.
Yeah. I'm excited. I just want to see us make moves. I want to see us be a little bit just slightly more aggressive. I don't want us to sit on our hands and not make a move. But you've spoken a lot about the phenom that we have. That's Cade Cunningham. What do you think is his biggest flaw?
Yeah. I think so. He's just so nonchalant with the basketball, and it kind of like doesn't piss me off, but just makes me like, dude, like you're a top 10 player in the league. Like, like be vocal, be like pumping up your team. Like, and he doesn't really do that. Like, that's not really like his play style. Like, yes, he gets excited obviously for his teammates and is a team player, but when he's just dribbling up the court, like a lot of his turnovers came from, him just carelessly passing, especially out of bounds plays. Like, I forget if it was,
it was
both
game
of the series.
4 in Cleveland.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
And then he basically lost the game, right? I mean, he just chucked it into, their hands, right? And it's kind of like, you don't want your star player to like give that up. Like, he should not be making those mistakes. And it's because he's just so nonchalant with the basketball in his hands. But he is a great ball handler. He just needs help. Like, I think, he can't do everything by himself, right? But, in terms of, putting the ball in the basket, like he does a great job of that. But in terms of ball handling, like he needs another guy that can take off some of that pressure in that sense. Because if we're relying on him on, every single minute, every single game, like it's gonna happen, just because we're still in that. Yes, we're the number 1 team in the East, 60-win season, but that's gonna kind of get old for in the playoffs, right? They're gonna know the game plan, that he's gonna have the ball in his hands 80% of the time, and a lot of the Magic and the Cavs, they're really blitzing him hard, and like no one's cutting to the ball, right? They're not slashing, they're not taking that relief off him, so he had to be thrown into those hard situations. And the nonchalantness, like that's just who he is as a person. Like, it's not a fault to him, but in those mistakes you can kind of like point to that in a way. So that's kind of like something I think he needs to like work on, and just take like more ownership of like, hey, like I am the face of the Pistons, like I am Detroit, like this is my team, and like those mistakes, like they're not going to happen through like the other playoff careers.
That was music to my ears. Music to my ears. You said, listen, Cade, I think he's going to be all right. We're gonna play a little game here before our last topic of the day.
All right.
Have you ever seen a Would You Rather?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so this is just a quick little Would You Rather for Michigan native. We're going to do a Would You Rather Cade Cunningham edition. I'm just going to throw you some names. Okay. You tell me, would you rather have Cade or this player? First name up, Finals MVP, Jalen Brunson. And be honest, because I know who I'm taking. And you can say, fuck that ring if you want to. You can say it. Who would you rather have? I know who I'm taking.
Jalen Brunson.
You was thinking about taking Cade.
So like Jalen Brunson, like I like basketball side, I love him as a person. I think he's one of the best guys in the league too. Like, and his I think before the finals, like he gave a shout out to a kid that was like battling cancer or anything or something like that. Like, just a very down to earth guy. But besides the point, like he just is so clutch. Like, and he kind of brought back like this small guard, mentality, right? Of like, it doesn't matter if, you're 6'2", but like, if you can just get a bucket after bucket, it doesn't matter if you throw 3 guys at me, like I'm going to find a way. And like how he gets downhill, how he has so many counters, especially like his drag dribble counter, like gather dribble, like he's so good at that. He can just go to work on anyone. And like the shots, like against the Spurs, especially, like it doesn't matter. Like Stephen Castle and Dylan Harper, like I think everyone was amazed at like you have a second year guy and a rookie going to work in the finals, and like Dylan Harper is such a special talent, like especially downhill. Like he is going to be so fun to watch, and the rest of his career, right? But yeah, Jalen Brunson, bringing the first title to the Knicks in 53 years, like Captain Brunson, NBA Finals MVP, like how he can just gather a team like him and Kat, bring the Villanova boys with a title, how they won in Villanova, won 2 championships there. Like, he's just a winner. And I think like when they battled, last year, right, I think Cade has some learnings to do of, I think Brunson had a, kind of, he plays a lot of hero ball, so it's kind of hard to compare the two because Brunson does take a lot of, the possessions in his hands, and he kind of makes a lot more things happen, I think. I think Detroit has, like, we have a great supporting cast to Cade. Like, I mean, Arsar Thompson almost won Defensive Player of the Year in his, 3rd year, which is crazy. But I think they're just the older team, right? So I think they're more ready for what the playoffs would entail. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to compare the two, but like, I think as, this was a generational draft class, like, it's only going to get harder for every single team, like, especially the West. Like, the East is right there with them, right? Because I think obviously the Thunder and the Spurs, a lot of people are like, this is not Wemby's year. Like, he has to go through, the Nuggets, and then, SGA again, like, he's not going to go to the finals, but then he did. But yeah, with Brunson, he's just a special player. And I think like him getting so kind of overlooked with the Mavericks with Luka, and then that whole front office, getting rid of Luka, Brunson, like, I'm so sorry, Mavs fans. Like, I can't imagine how that feels to see, what Brunson ultimately, came up to be. But even in Villanova, like, he kind of, had that winning mentality. Like, I don't know, he was super overlooked. So I like his story as well. But I think Cade can easily get to where Brunson is. I think it just like will take time.
2 years.
But yeah. But
maybe
right now I would take Jalen Brunson.
Okay. Next name up, Scotty Barnes.
Cade Cunningham.
I like that. Next name up, Ant-Man.
Cade Cunningham.
LaMelo Ball.
Cade Cunningham.
Donovan Mitchell.
I would take Cade.
Okay. Devin Booker.
I would take Cade.
Okay. Evan Mobley.
Cade.
Kevin Durant.
We're talking about like right now, right?
Today.
Yeah, I would take Cade. I would take Cade.
Okay. 3 more. Steph Curry. Woo.
I would take Steph.
Okay. Okay. Jaylen Brown. Some say they're the same player. One just passes better.
I would take Cade, but it's like super close for me.
Okay, that one's sneaky. Karl Anthony Towns.
Cade.
Okay, Jason Tatum.
I would take Cade.
Okay. And then let's do the last 3 names, I'd say. Dylan Harper.
Oof. I love Dylan Harper, but I have to take Cade.
Darren Peterson.
I'll take age here. Yeah, I'll take Cade because, I mean, who knows? And I don't know how long, but I mean, Darren Peterson's special for sure.
And then the last name up, would you take Cade or AJ DeBanza?
I would take Cade.
All right, so you stuck to your guns, and that's what I like to see from a loyal fan. Now, shifting to a couple big trades that happened. This is going to be our last topic of the day. I appreciate you, Paige, for being here and giving me an hour of your time with that Devin Booker jersey hanging up. Shout out to Devin Booker for sure. Who's on top of Devin Booker? Is that Chris Paul? Don't tell me.
It's Kevin Durant.
Don't tell me. Oh, you shouldn't have told me. I was gonna guess it. Kevin Durant with Seattle?
No, it's him at the Thunder in like 2012.
Oh,
he like signed it. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
Just talking about these trades real quick. There was a lot of big trades that happened. I want you to just give your quick, analysis of what you think this team can do on this upcoming season and how you think this trade is just going to impact the team. So, first trade that happened, obviously we don't need to get into the big details, but Toronto gets Kawhi, and the Clippers get Brandon Ingram and a couple first-round picks. What is the overall theme of what you think the Toronto Raptors are going to be this upcoming season, and the Clippers?
Yeah, I think the Toronto Raptors are kind of a sleeper team to me. Like, even this past year, like, their whole starting lineup was like 6'6" and above, like, or 6'8" and above. And like, I think they've gone into the fact like Emmanuel quickly isn't really, their point guard, right? And like BI is a huge hole leaving for them. I love BI. Like I think him with Darius Garland is gonna be super fun to watch, and Keen Wagler to play off with in LA. But I mean, Kawhi's back home, right, with the Raptors, winning title there in 2019. Like he was at Kyle Lowry's retirement yesterday, and I think Kawhi, like since he's been so kind of unavailable in the past few years, like people like this was his best year since he's kind of been fully back, right? I think people have started to kind of forget like who he is, like the claw, like Kawhi is such a special two-way player, right? And I think him pairing with Scotty Barnes, especially, like that'll be a super fun duo to watch. And I think the East, like I forget who tweeted it, but if you're ranking the Raptors, the Pistons, the 76ers now, like it's going to be a dogfight, especially in the East, because of all like the trades that are happening. Like I would never picture obviously Jaylen Brown in a 76ers jersey, but here we are. But yeah, I think the Raptors could definitely, I think, be like a top 3 team in the East. I think it just depends, how available is Kawhi going to be, right? Because he just had his struggles. Like he's kind of ending, part of his prime. Like I think this year was kind of like he's back, right? And especially with James Harden leaving too, you kind of saw him kind of go back into more like on ball Kawhi, right? And kind of him more getting downhill, getting to the hoop more, kind of being, who he is. Like he doesn't talk much, like there's not a lot about him. So when he kind of like falls off the face of the earth and then kind of resurges, we're like, okay, like he's like a top 15 player in the league, like whenever he is available. So yeah, I think the Raptors are going to be a super, fun team to watch this season.
Next one, talk about Minnesota and them getting LaMelo Ball.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think so. When Julius Randle got traded to the Nets, I was like, that kind of like kicked off, kind of this free agency or an off season. I love the move for the Nets, right? And I think Yegor Yeoman is he's been popping off in summer league with Mikal Brown Jr. I think he's gonna have a pretty good season, and you have MPJ, Julius Randle as well. Like Nets are starting to get a little more fun, like instead of being kind of irrelevant for the past 5 years, or whenever KD and Harden and Kyrie kind of disperse. But yeah, I think the Timberwolves, I think on paper, and LaMelo is the flashiest backcourt in the league. I think it will be interesting to see how LaMelo adjusts to its aunt's city in Minnesota and them playing off each other. Because I think LaMelo, it's hard to like see him in like a contender team, right? Because I think him with like Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert will be super fun for him to play off of. The Hornets, getting Naz Reid, that's a huge hole for the Timberwolves, especially on both ends of the floor, because he brings that size and floor spacing. And, Minnesota loves them some Naz Reid. So I'm sure, they were kind of upset to see him go. But I think it was time for the Hornets to kind of let go of LaMelo, right? And I think this is kind of a huge make or break year for, LaMelo's career. It's kind of like, how can you play with, a number one option that, isn't you, right? Especially in the backcourt, and how LaMelo is so on ball, right? Him playing more off ball with Ant, I think it's going to be kind of an adjustment period. But yeah, I mean, that's just another, add to a Western Conference team that you don't really want to see on paper. But yeah, the Hornets giving them up, and I forget the extent of the deal, but yeah, I think the Timberwolves kind of made out, but the Hornets is kind of like, what the hell are they doing? Because they didn't really get that much in return.
No, it was, I think, a couple of pick swaps, but that was during Ant-Man and LaMelo's prime. So as long as they're healthy, these picks are going to suck.
Yeah.
Next trade, which was probably the craziest trade of the offseason for sure, because I definitely feel like LaMelo's was shocking. I feel like even the Kawhi one was like, all right, cool. But this Jaylen Brown, the rivals, Philly for Paul George, nuts. Just talk to me about that one. Because everybody was in uproar about what was going on.
Yeah, I think so. Like Brad Stevens just won Executive of the Year too. And it's like, you're Executive of the Year, you're making this decision to send off, Jaylen Brown, where I get, his streams, he said some things, right? Like this is my favorite year ever. And obviously Jason Tatum wasn't really there because of his, torn Achilles, right? Yeah, Jaylen Brown, I think, Celtics are only getting a 36-year-old Paul George in return is, not what Celtics fans want to see at all. But they also got Mitchell Robinson to help out their front court a little bit more. But I mean, you're giving the 76ers and Daryl Morey, Jaylen Brown in his prime. He was ready to get out of Boston. I think Celtics fans were a lot more sad than I kind of not thought they would be, but like the uproar of it. I think if it was for, not Paul George and, 2 first, they would have been like, okay, like I get it, but like we're also getting another superstar in return. But like getting that, package in return, they're kind of like, this throws like the whole entire thing off. But you're pairing Jaylen Brown with Tyrese Maxey, BJ Edgecombe, Joel Embiid, and now Librarian Phylon, like the 76ers. If you're a 76ers fan, like you're kind of like, how the hell did this even happen? Like, and your rival too. Like, I just don't understand the thought process behind that. I think, I forget what other teams were looking at it, but I think Brad Stevens
Portland was talking about it for a little bit.
Yeah, and Brad Stevens kind of like, this is kind of like the best option at that point that was kind of available to get Jaylen Brown off the table. But it's just like, I don't understand how other things like wouldn't, unfold, because I think they were interested in Trey Murphy as well. And I think they could have the pieces to obviously move like Jaylen Brown, Trey Murphy, and like a first or something, which would kind of make sense. But I mean, I don't know if Celtics fans would think that was, a tit for tat kind of trade. But yeah, I think that one, shocked everyone more than obviously the Giannis to Miami Heat for sure.
Yeah, I think from what I was watching from Brad Stevens' presser, it felt a lot about just money. Like it was just a money thing. Like Jason Tatum going from 47% of the cap to now 70%, and having 2 supermax guys. I think that kind of pivoted him to like, but it also gave me the vibe where he doesn't think they can win with both of them. Like, and I think that like I think he has fallen lower on Jaylen Brown's ceiling and as a player, and that kind of gave him the easy route. Because I feel like if you couldn't find another better deal, why didn't you keep all of this under the rug and just keep him? And like you could have just kept him. So that gave me the vibe that, all right, you wanted to move him. You moved him pretty fast, and you moved him for Paul George. Now, Paul George is a good player. I think at this point he's a solid role player, can hit the 3 ball better. Like he fits their system. But he's making $54 million. He's unavailable for the past 3 or 4 seasons. I feel like Boston is still going to make the playoffs, but it definitely takes away that ceiling of, we can make a championship.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, if you're mad about, moving cap space around, like then you shouldn't have signed Jaylen Brown to the Supermax 5-year, over $300 million contract in the first place, if that's what you're going to get in return, because you have, a 36 Paul George that's making, 30 million. Like he has a pretty bad contract too. And then you don't really know where you're going to get with him. So yeah, if I was a Celtics fan or, just a basketball fan in general, it's kind of mind boggling when you look at it. I think, this season is really like, okay, like Brad Stevens, like put, the money where your mouth is, because like, yeah, I don't know. Like if I was in Boston, like I would not want to show my face for a little bit if I was Brad Stevens. But yeah, I hope it, works out. Maybe there's some other moves to be made. Like I was seeing like Derek White could be a possible option, but I don't really see that happening. But yeah, I mean, this just proves it's Jason Tatum's team, right? And I don't know how Jaylen Brown obviously felt about that. Like I know Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were like kind of close, not really. I think they kind of kept to themselves a lot, especially Jason Tatum kind of just did their own thing. And, but Jaylen Brown was there first, right? Like he was in the draft class year before Jason Tatum in 2016. People said he was too smart for the NBA, like whatever they wanted to make up because he went to Cal.
Did you see his comment after?
Yeah, but
that was so funny.
And he's done so much for like the city of Boston, like outside of basketball. But yeah, I mean, it's it'll be interesting to see how him and Joel Embiid work together, because he's had some comments about Joel Embiid and his flopping and the team dynamic of that. But I hope it's not like another situation of like James Harden, Ben Simmons, of like that whole disaster, and like Daryl Morey kind of like ruining, 76er, like the Philadelphia for them. And, Ben Simmons is not even playing basketball anymore. So hopefully Jaylen Brown has a better experience. But I think, him and Maxey is just a super great backcourt to play off each other.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And then the last trade, of course, is Mr. Giannis, who probably should have got traded years ago, finally heads to another team. He's on Miami. That fit is gonna be weird, but I trust Spo more than anybody in the league.
Yeah, I think Eric Spoelstra is, every year after year, one of the best coaches in the NBA, right? And I think him with Bam Adebayo will be super fun. But like he are kind of in a weird spot because they gave so many assets up, especially Tyler Hero. There was talks about Tyler Hero coming into Detroit, and obviously getting rid of Jaime Jaquez, which he was, kind of a focal point for them and kind of their young pieces. And I believe they also got rid of Kasparas Yakachunas, I think, Illinois guard, to the Bucks. So yeah, they gave up a lot for Giannis, and I think Davion Mitchell is not really gonna cut it in the backcourt. But I mean, Ryan Conwell, like he was a second round pick, but I mean he can kind of fill that void for the time being for the Heat. But it's kind of like he left the situation in the Bucks just to kind of end up in a new place, but the same situation, but like with sun and palm trees in Miami. But I think the Bucks, like if you're a Bucks fan, you have a lot to work with. You have Tyler Hero, Braden Burries, Nate Ament. If you're higher on him than I am, whatever. But it's a good, young core to work with. Ryan Rollins, as you mentioned as well, and then Jaime Jaquez. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how he does. Like, I think Shams can kind of be like, okay, guys, I told you it was going to happen. It just took a year or so to actually happen. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Like, I think there's so many players that, you kind of have to, remember, like they're not on that team anymore. And, Giannis was the face of Milwaukee, right? He brought them a championship in 2021 after being down 0-2 to the Phoenix Suns when they thought, they had it in the bag, right? And kind of just, went to work on DeAndre Ayton and, destroyed him. Like, yeah, DeAndre Ayton, yeah, we can talk about him in whatever podcast. Like I have my thoughts about him for sure, but yeah, I'm excited for Giannis. I'm sad that, his time in Milwaukee kind of ended. But I think it's just like all these trades is that, I think in the past like 5 to 10 years, like the big three is like just not a thing anymore because glue guys make or break your team. They contribute to the most to, winning a championship. Like if you look at Josh Hart, right, for the Knicks, just this upcoming year, like he wouldn't, go off. Like he would go off sometimes, but if you look at his stats, he has like 10 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. Like he's all over the place. And in one of the games against Spurs, he had like 14 rebounds. Like, and he's a 6'6" guy that, is just crashing the glass at any given point in time on the offensive glass and on the other side of the ball too. So yeah, I think he kind of ended up in the same situation, but it will be interesting to see with him and Bam. But I trust Eric Spoelstra to make it happen. So
I'm excited about it. So where would you got Minnesota, Miami, Toronto, blanking on the other Philly. You got Philly. How would you rank it if I told you in a year I will see you in July and we have this conversation again? How would you think those 4 go?
Yeah, so Philly, I would go Philly first. Okay. I think just as like what we know now, that kind of seems like the better choice out of the 5 teams. And then it was Miami, Boston, or Miami, whatever the other one?
Minnesota, Miami, Philly, Toronto. Woo!
Toronto. Yeah, so Philly, Minnesota, and then Toronto, and then Miami, I think.
It's a good list. I like Minnesota 1. I do.
Okay.
I do think the continuity is there. LaMelo really just solves the question they've been asking for 5 years. We need a point guard. And when are you going to do it? Don't have to do it no more. LaMelo.
So you're a big LaMelo guy.
I am a big component of fit and spacing. That's what I don't want to say I'm not a LaMelo guy, but I'm like in the middle. I get his flaws. He's a really bad scorer for a guy that gets paid $40 million.
Yeah.
Can't really get to the rim and finish. 6'7", sometimes can be a little bit walky, but I do think his 3-point shot is electric. I think he can create space. He's one of the best passers in basketball, 6'7", able to see any type of defense, see over any type of defense, and can work really well in the pick and roll. I just think his scoring is really an issue for him being that size. I think his defense, he can buy in. I saw last year, post-January, he was able to buy in and be somewhat comparable on the defensive side, which is why it gives me the belief that, all right, you put him next to an alpha, now he can be a beta. You playing under Ant-Man, all he has to do is just make Rudy better, better looks for Ant-Man to do that. I think I'm really high on Minnesota this year just because I think, like, he's kind of what they needed. But I also understand, like, him as a player, like, it's rough sometimes. Yeah. I do get it. Like, I do get it.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. Like, I am in the same boat in terms of LaMelo and his skill set and what he provides to a team. And I think him playing more off ball kind of fits him way better. And I think even the Hornets, like, making the play-in as well, and like Concanepo, like, he was about to win Rookie of the Year, and then he kind of settled down a little bit in the play-in, and obviously Cooper Flag, right? But and they also, traded Miles Bridges to the Suns, the Hornets, and I think it's a lot to put on Christian Anderson's shoulders to be the primary guy as a point guard, but they also added Hannes Steinbach as well, which I think he was another guy out of Washington, led the NCAA in rebounding, double-double machine, can kind of stretch the floor a little bit, pick and pop, 7-footer, good mobile mover, great in the pick and roll as well. Like, I think he's a great addition to the Hornets. I think they really did well in terms of the draft because they had, the two top 20 picks to work with, right? And they're basically almost back-to-back in this draft class. So I think it was kind of always like a inkling that LaMelo was kind of going to be traded, especially when they drafted Christian Anderson. And like this draft class was just so deep anyway. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I'm more on the front that I need to like see LaMelo operate with Ant and kind of go from there just because of all the inconsistencies with him. And like, he's had like a lot of foot issues and hand issues. But yeah, like no denying his talent whatsoever. But I think this will be good for him. And I hope he just buys into it because, I mean, do you have them winning the West?
Whoa. No.
How high are you on? How high are you on them?
3. I have them 3. Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Let's run that back. No. OKC.
I just wanted to clarify.
No. OKC, when healthy, best team in the West. OKC, when healthy, would have won the championship last year. OKC, when healthy, is the best team in the league. I know people got revisiting this history and people like, oh yeah, the Spurs beat them. Yeah, all that. Dude, AJ was down. J-Dub was down. What are we doing? Like this is a team when healthy. Probably New York was probably actually lucky as hell that they was even going to play the Spurs because I feel like the matchup against OKC is a lot different, probably a lot more difficult for them. With the Spurs, you saw in the regular season that was a little bit of a better matchup for them. But OKC is 1. San Antonio is number 2. But listen, if Ant-Man was a little bit more healthier in that second round series, I think it goes 7 games. We saw the Spurs kind of struggle. I don't want to say struggle because it was a 5-game series, but Portland choked a lot of games where they could have won in the first round. They were up 15,
Portland's
18 points.
Team.
Yeah, like this is they're tough. They play hard, so I don't want to just outright, but I do have San Antonio number 2. And then, Denver, they asked, but you can never count out them. Like they're always around. But no, Minnesota's 3 for me though, for sure.
Okay.
Like, they're 3.
Yeah.
Where do you have
them? Let's see. I would say probably 3 as you. I think I would still have Spurs 1. And Thunder 2.
Okay, that's fair. They won.
I just really believe in Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle, and like they also got our Uncle Toby to be on the perimeter, and like Julian Champagny also got paid, and like he was remarkable in the playoffs. He had a great run, and I'm glad he got to stay in San Antonio too. Fox. We can also talk about we got him as the Spurs got him as a vet, and like he just could not. And yes, he wasn't like healthy during the Thunder series that much, but he definitely hurt when he was in. It's kind of just like Stephon Castle and Dylan Harper like playing together. Like you don't expect that out of a second year and rookie guy to do, especially in the playoffs, which is remarkable. But the Thunder, like they won again in the draft. I thought they were gonna package their top 20 or 2 lottery picks together and possibly move up.
And I didn't think they were going to get Mara. I didn't think that.
Yeah.
Because then they re-signed Hartenstein. So I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Some Jalen Williams on the roster. A little confusing.
And Bennett Sturts, like he was another target for the Pistons as well. Like Iowa guy, started at D2, then was at Drake. One of the best passers in this draft class. And it's kind of like, damn, you're pairing him with SGA and like Sam Presti. It just like keeps winning. Then Mara, like insane skilled 7'4" guy that can pass. It's just a mammoth of a human being. Like I've seen him and Merez Johnson, who I also love in this class, and like Yaxel play a ton of times in person. Like I was at Michigan Pro Day. Yaxel was sick, but I mean Mara coming in last October, like he didn't really do that much at UCLA, right? Mick Cronin, I don't think he really knew how to play him to the best of his ability, and Mara, he kind of was just like he was a lot better, laterally and quick more on his feet than last year, I think. But he's still pretty slow on the perimeter and perimeter defender. Like if he's giving, if he's guarding Jokic or, whatever the case may be in terms of, how, Mark Dagnall plays him, he's going to struggle.
You got the check help side.
Yeah, but he's going to struggle on the perimeter because he is, pretty slow, but he does have that massive wingspan and, can just block any shot, at the rim, which, he does the best. And he has great hands as well for, how he is as a player.
Was he last year's UCLA team? Was that the Sky Clark, Tyler Badu? What's his last name?
Tyler Badu. Yeah.
That was that team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sky Clark is supposed to be the truth, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my
Illinois.
God. You hate to see it, man. You hate to see it for sure. Yeah. I definitely Bennett Sturts, I feel like was the right pick because I feel like you don't know what's gonna happen with Topic. And I feel like that was also something that was odd. And then, you're going to have that fear of either losing Jeremy Kane or Case and Wallace, so you need another ball handler. Yeah. And then Mara, I do like the thought process of, all right, you got Mara guarding in the post. You have Chet on help side. You have J-Dub up here. Like, you can figure it out. But I'm with you where the Joker likes to play out in the perimeter too, and so does Wemby. So that's going to be a tricky pattern. But, OKC for me, listen, man, they've won 60 games twice back to back.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable to watch. And like, yes, like I was on that train too. And like, basically still am of like all the flopping and like, sometimes I mean, every team's game is kind of hard to watch in some settings of, the flopping and just, trying to do a little bit too much. It's just like, hey, like it's the playoffs. Like it's going to be physical. Just like play, like, why are we trying to like flop every single time you have the ball in your hands and there's a person like 5 feet away from you? Like it's just bad for the game. It's bad for, the players up and coming watching. And like, we're probably going to see a lot more of it in college too, of just like how the game's going. And I don't think it's personally good for the game. But like people saying like SGA is the master of foul baiter, just respect him as a player, right? Like he's two-time MVP for a reason, right? And them getting rid of Isaiah Joe and
Aaron Wiggins.
And Aaron Wiggins as well. Like, and I know OKC people really loved them, obviously. But I mean, Sam Presti just nailing the draft again. It's like, when will this ever stop? Because they have like 20, they have so much draft capital to work with, which is crazy. Awful. But
I will say, SG is getting his third MVP.
Okay.
He's going 3 in a row. You saw it. I'm going to tell you why he's going 3 in a row. Michael Jordan in the 80s, chain on, low cut. Hooper went bald. Hooper. SGA, braids on. Hooper, 2-time MVP. Kind of struggled last year. Cut his hair, different beast overseas. He's going to come back, MVP. They're going to the finals. This is going to be SGA's Michael Jordan 93 season. I'm telling you, this is going to be another MVP season. I know Wemby's great. I'm not saying he's not great, but I'm just speaking on SGA, how great I can see him. He's going to play off ball this year a lot more than he's played prior.
Yeah.
The 3-point shot, he's going to continue to up the volume. He's going to be at a different level. And I could just sometimes you need that loss, especially to a top echelon team. You need that type of loss to kind of give you that feeling. You know, Michael Jordan, when he came back in 95, he lost to Shaq. He lost to Orlando. He lost to them in 6 games. What did he do in 96? 72-10. 72-10. Won the chip. I'm telling you. I feel it.
I mean, I don't disagree.
I feel it. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, to go, you know, back to back like Jokic too, like, damn. But yeah.
So listen, Joker.
I
crazy.
can for sure see it. Yeah. And like Jokic, like he's about to be paid like $70 million last year or next year. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully he buys like his own like horse ranch or whatever in Serbia. But yeah, I mean that's crazy. NBA money's crazy, but yeah. We'll see.
Last question of the pod. Who's the best player in the world to you? That's because I feel like Wemby outplayed SGA. Fair. Went to the finals. Oh, didn't really give you that best in the world type of performance like you wanted it to. So I felt like the Joker was in it. Then the Joker lost it in the first round. SGA and Wemby went at it for it. Wemby won the contest, so SGA lost it. But then I feel like Wemby kind of put it back on the table after the final. So now it's like all 3 of them together again at the table, fighting for it again. But who's your best player in the world?
I feel like I go kind of back and forth. I think I would go Wemby. I think you're never gonna see. I mean, honestly, you're seeing more and more like all the time. Like I think Kevin Durant was kind of like the first guy, like 6'11". I mean, he's 7 foot. He doesn't really like to say it, right? But like a guy that can, you know, he's 7 foot, can 3-level score, can do everything on the court, can ball handle, can pass, can do everything. And then, you know, you get Wemby that, you know, I mean, me and you both saw his first summer league game where, you know, he's probably gained 20, 30 pounds of muscle. Like he was lost out there, just the pacing and the spacing. Like he didn't really adapt in summer league and everyone was like, oh my God, like, you know, Scoot did kind of pretty well, like the Thompson twins, right? Like Brandon Miller, right? But then as you kind of saw his ascension, then you put the pieces around him, Dylan Harper, Stefan Castle, you had De'Aaron Fox, and then you had, you know, other floor spacers next to him, right? And then you have Luke Cornett in the front court to back him up as well. But I think Wemby, like he is starting to, you know, just bring back, like he has that emotion to him. Like he loves the game of basketball. Like he's not afraid to like cry or, you know, show his passion for the game. And you want to see that in like the next generation of players. And like, I think he already is, right, the face of the NBA as well as SGA. But I mean, his first game 1 against the Thunder, like he had 40 and 20, right? Like, and like when you see him 7'4" pulling up from the logo and just draining it, like you can't believe with your eyes what you're watching. And you think it's like a one-off instance, and he does it again and again. And then he takes one dribble to the hoop from the 3-point line and dunks over everyone. And, you know, and he's also grown a ton as, you know, as a passer and a rebounder too. And I think getting to line as well, like, I don't know. I think the sky's the limit for him. I think he's going to get his championship in the next, you know, 2 years or so. But yeah, I think it would be Wemby.
Okay. Listen, Paige, it's been a pleasure. I hate that I have to go pick a side after this. That's like 14 hours in the studio. But
you're built for that though.
Am I really? Oh my God, I had one more question I wanted to ask you. You said you hooped, right?
Yeah.
Walk me through that. You were nice? Were you nice?
Yeah, I wasn't, you know, to toot my own horn. So I'm 5'10".
Whoa!
Like, yeah.
Are you a big man?
No, so I played all 1 through 5 growing up. Because I could handle a little bit and shoot, but also like growing up, like I graduated in 2017. So like in high school, like I was usually like the tallest or second tallest like on my team, but definitely not. I didn't play a lot of 5. I'd play probably like 2 through 4 mostly, and then I also played AAU where I played 2 through 4, but pretty like big mid-range, getting to the basket, like love to pass. Like I pretty much like pass first kind of perimeter player, I would say. Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch? Like, do you still hoop on the side?
Yeah. So 2 years ago I worked for the University of Miami women's basketball team and like recruiting career content. So then I would just play pickup every single day with like our practice players and our staff, and just started hooping a lot more, and just shooting like whenever I can. So yeah, and I still play a little bit of pickup here and there, but yeah, I love to play.
Oh, okay. I don't mean to toot my own horn here.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I coach. I coach.
Okay.
I coach girls AAU, and
Okay.
we're pretty
Awesome.
dangerous. We're pretty dangerous. Like we are.
You have to show me what's their team. Like, what's your team called? Like, I have to look up highlights somewhere, right?
I got you. I got you. I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna send you in the DMs, because we're like this year we were pretty dominant. So like
yeah. What circuit are you guys in?
That's the thing, because this is my first year. So I've done coaching before, but I did like rec just to get my feet wet. So this year was like my first year doing like AAU. I remember like last summer they were like looking for refs. I mean coaches. So I was like, I applied on Indeed, like, yo, I'll do it. Yeah. So then they called me like immediately, and they're like, yo, you really want to do it? I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Like, I'll do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I at first I was the boys coach for 6th grade.
Okay.
And my team was cool, and I was the assistant for the girls team, because they're just like building the girls program. It's in this area, it's a little bit harder to build the girls program because I got to find those girls that want to play. Yeah. So I was the assistant. I remember this like it was yesterday. The assistant, but the head coach, he was an asshole. He used to have like, I was the fun coach at practice. So like we'd be at practice and I'll troll the girls, because if you laugh at practice, coach makes you run if you're not paying attention. So I'll sit there and coach is talking, and I'll be like, hey girls, hey, I give you $1 right now if you like just randomly like I'll just mess with them, and then they'll start running. They'll look at me like, Riv, and I'll be like, yo, pay attention. Why you not paying attention? Yeah. So our first tournament we lost, and our second tournament we lost. But at the second tournament, I'm telling the coach, I'm like, yo, you should get out of man. Like, man, we're getting fried in man. Like, let's get out of man. Let's do some zone. He was like, are you the head coach? I said, nah, I'm just. He was like, so then don't when you the head coach, you can decide what we do. I said, well, damn, bro, I'm just trying to give you some help. You're losing. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? Cool. So you know how head coach sits at the front and assistant like sits next to. I went to the back of the bench, grabbed my snacks, and I'm just like, come on, girls, I'm gonna just talk to you guys. So I'm talking to our bench warmers, and we're just chatting up, laughing. So then that week, you get parents complaining about they're like 0-4 coaches. He doesn't even know their names. I don't either. That's the funny part. But I talk to them like I know their names. So I'm just like, hey, like I just like they like me. So our director was like, Riv, you're gonna take over this tournament, and we're just gonna see how it goes. He's gonna be the assistant. So I'm like, all right. Like, no clue what plays he ran, because his practice overlapped with the podcast sometimes. Yeah. So no idea what he runs. I know who's good. No, I'm walking in nothing. Yeah. So we go into this tournament, and I'm like, all right, ladies, new game plan. We're gonna run my offense, run and gun. We're gonna get steals. We're gonna play defense, because I'm defense to offense. Yeah. I'm like, we're gonna press, get steals, turnovers, run. So we win our first tournament, and the head coach and
flex.
There was, but like I'm chilling. Awesome. I'm just like, I want to see. They're all happy. They're excited. We're winning. The assistant foreman head, he's sitting on the bench. He like sitting like this, and he's just like, well, I guess you're the head coach now. And I'm like, well, I guess I am.
Say?
So, but we had a good year, though. I would say we did lose one of our best players. She ended up, I guess she's went to go play with somebody else. Okay. We went, I want to say, because for some reason, our director is the boys director's wife. Okay. So she likes to count. You know how these tournaments are. It's 2-3 games. If you win them all, you get the trophy and stuff. She likes to count our records. So we're like 20-4. I think we have like two or three tournament wins.
A little slight 21 season.
Yeah, we had some W's.
That's awesome.
So I'm just trying to get more people to just acknowledge us, and because it's for the girls at the end of the day. And they're all 7th graders, so they're all going to be 8th graders next year. So we're going into the 8th grade circuit. We was in Adidas circuit. Yeah. Adidas circuit. Yeah. We went down to AC. We didn't qualify for the next one because I only was able to get like 7 girls down there. But hopefully next year, I think we're going to be in the Puma circuit. But I'm excited.
Nice. I forget because we used to play. It's like Roses, like this huge tournament in Chicago. I think it was the Adidas circuit, or maybe they changed it.
I think I know what you were talking about, though.
City of Roses or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, that one was like hundreds and hundreds of teams, like just crazy.
So crazy. So crazy.
But it's so fun though. But yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know you coach. It's great.
Yeah, I keep it, I keep it secret. I don't be trying to tell you.
You need to post your coaching highlights or something.
I'm gonna start doing that. I think I'm gonna do a video, like just me mic'd up during a game, or like just a tournament, just to like try to see like how that goes, But awesome. I'll send you like our stuff and stuff. You give me some pointers and some tips or whatnot.
I'll try.
Yeah. Oh, but I don't want to be here all day. I really don't. So listen, Paige, plug in everything you do, man.
Yeah, you guys can follow me, Paige Otto _ on all socials, Instagram, TikTok, whatever is all out there nowadays. YouTube, our socials, No Ceilings NBA across the board. If anyone that's listening to that summer league, feel free to say hi, to chop it up, talk hoops this next week. Gonna be a great slate of games. And just nice to get out of Michigan and get to Las Vegas and watch some summer league hoops, especially with the U.S. not in the World Cup anymore. It's kind of like, let's just have some fun in Vegas. So yeah, but then for the next season for draft, like we're gonna be kind of going into the next cycle around September-ish is when we really start to do like our weekly stuff again. Much needed break heading into summer league, but yeah.
So wait, what is y'all summer schedule?
Yeah, so usually like summer league is when like 6 or 7, not to be that person, but but it's when most of us get together and kind of reconnect. Like we'll do some pods and write a little bit like on our Substack, and then we kind of take like August off, and then we kind of go back into like the weekly schedule of like 3 to 5 shows per week, article every day, heading into the season. Yeah.
So how do you guys so you take do you guys meet up together and just cipher like who does what? How do you do that?
Yeah, so we have like a team of writers that write every, like one person will do it Monday every week, Tuesday, whatever the case. Sometimes we do like team previews, like we did one for the draft lottery of just like team breakdowns, players to watch for each team. And then we have like our shows, like Nick and I do our deep dive show every week. During the season, we have stuff with Locked On, Field of 68, and then we have a show on NBA TV that we do as well. Like Corey and Albert do that. So yeah, kind of all over the place. But yeah, kind of just like fixed where like everyone just is doing like their own thing, but it doesn't like coincide with everyone. So it kind of works out well.
And it's like one big network. You guys are just under each other. Wait, you said NBA TV?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Congrats! What the hell? You're on NBA TV, really?
Yeah. Yeah, whoa. I can show you a few clips of us. It'd be before like some of the primetime games. We'd have a little like 10 to 15 minute segment, kind of just breaking down like the game ahead and previewing that.
That's still dope
cool.
as hell.
Yeah,
wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I like that. So you guys listen. You guys heard her. You can follow her. Everything she just said because I don't remember. Thank you guys for being here. If you guys made it to the end of the video, we did a lot of yapping, a lot of good yapping. Yeah. NBA's dying. It's dying. Summer's here. Summer league is here. But when summer league is over, is that dead period of just nothing and silence. So hopefully I'm going to be able to drop more videos, but I have a lot more vacations I take. And you guys know I'm a busy guy. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for enjoying the episode. Like, subscribe, and you guys have a good night.